everybody. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living in our 70s church. Woo! Let's stand up and we'll sing together our congregational song, which is kind of a new one. Breathing deeply and allowing ourselves to be still and know as we open to receive the words of our sacred reading.
A blessing from Jalaluddin Rumi. Close your eyes. Fall in love. Stay there. You have no idea how hard I've looked for a gift to bring to you. Nothing seemed right. What's the point of bringing gold to the gold mine? Or water to the ocean? Everything I came up with was like bringing spice to the Orient. It's no good giving you my heart and my soul because you already have these. So, I've brought you a mirror. Look at yourself and remember me.
Breathing into that beautiful stillness. Let us inhale deeply and then exhale, gently opening our eyes, loving what is as it is, and so it is.
You're all so pretty. Are you taking in that rainbow across that picture-perfect sky? Are you lying in the tall grass, watching weightless clouds go by? 'Cause I am drawing treasure to you, like the waves draw to the shore, to let you know I could not love you more. Are you bathing in the sunshine? Are you soaking up the rain? Are you reveling in laughter, or are you pausing in the pain? 'Cause I am loving you completely, whether you thrive or you endure. Remember that I could not love you more. No matter who you've been or what you've done, at your death and at your birth, at your best and at your worst, remember that I could not. I could not love you more.
Okay, then. Said to Margaret, thanks for making me cry, you know. So I'm starting off today with a story about a dream that I had. And it's a dream that my husband and I like to call the actor dream. My husband and I were, well, he's a retired actor. I was an actor in a former life in this body. It's very similar to the high school dream. Anybody have that one? You know, where there's like a test in math or something, and you haven't done any of the work, and it's like the language is like something out of the African Click tribe, and you just have no idea what they're talking about, and you're not wearing any pants, you know. The usual. The actor dream is about theater disasters. So in this particular actor dream, I was ready. I knew my part, I knew my lines, I was all set, I had my costume, I was dressed similarly to this. I went to the theater, I walked on stage, and everybody else was dressed like Marie Antoinette and Louis XIV. I said my lines, they were the wrong lines, people kept feeding me the right lines, and there I was, stuck in this play that I didn't belong into, that I was ill-suited for. And what's so amazing to me in those dreams, you know, when you have the actor dream or the high school dream, is that you're like, well, this seems wrong. I'm wearing the wrong costume. The actors are all dressed like Marie Antoinette, but I'm going to see if I can make it work. Right? In high school, it's like, I'm not wearing any pants. That doesn't make any sense, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and pull it down just a little and see if I can get to the cafeteria and have my lunch. We just muddle through these dreams, and it is such a relief to wake up, isn't it? Oh my gosh, it is such a relief to wake up. Oh my God, I am wearing pants. Yay, thank you, God. Such a relief to wake up. So when I woke up from this actor dream, of course, you know, being in this position here at this center, wearing pants and all, I thought, what does this dream mean? What is the meaning of this dream? And it occurred to me that I should ask all of you for just a moment to trust William Shakespeare and to trust me, okay? William Shakespeare said, I'm going to paraphrase him, he said that all the world is a stage and we are merely players, nothing but players on this world called the stage, or the stage called the world. But if all the world is a stage, what is the play that we're in? And this is the part where you have to trust me, I'd like to say that we are in a play of expansive bliss, that we are in a play of awe and wonder, that we are in the play of infinite possibilities, that we are in the play of vast and amazing and beautiful unconditional love. That's the play we're in. But some of us are wearing the wrong costumes. Some of us are wearing the costumes, a shroud of disappointment and despair. Some of us are using the wrong props, the props of believing in mediocrity. And most of all, some of us have learned the wrong script. We have an inner monologue going on that is saying, I don't deserve this life of abundance. I don't deserve this life of vastness. I don't deserve this life of unconditional love and bliss and pure happiness. Well, I'm here to tell you that you do. You do deserve it. You can join that play of happiness and bliss and abundance and wonder. Just throw out those old props that aren't working for you. Take off your costumes, not now, at home. Take off your costumes and learn the script. Learn the script of the words that will serve your opening heart and your wonder and your love, that will fill you with such grace that you will just be so on fire all of the time with the love of God that Margaret sang about in that beautiful song, the love of God that was in the poem that couldn't love us any more than it already does. God already loves you abundantly, and now is the time to receive it. It starts with the willingness to believe in a better God, and that's what we're talking about today. In religious science, there is this thing that we call race consciousness, and that refers to the human race. It's not one particular race, it is the human race. And race consciousness is a lot of the shared beliefs that we have held on to and clung to as human beings. There's a lot of them, and some of them are productive and helpful, and some of them are destructive. There is a lot of race consciousness about the unknowable entity called God. Probably some of you have met that race consciousness. There are a lot of opinions, a lot of theories about what God is, and that's just because we are projecting limited ideas onto the unlimited vastness of the creative force of the universe. I'm a science of mind minister, so I am paid to believe and say nice things about God. However, I went on the internet to see what others were saying about gods, and being who I am, I was strongly drawn to the world of authors and actors and comedians and philosophers and George Carlin, none of which I can repeat in church. I know, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but anyway, so author, I'm going to read you some of the things I learned on the internet about God. Jules Renard, who was an author, said, "I don't know if God exists, but it would be much better for his reputation if he didn't." He's right. God has a really bad reputation in some circles. Tennessee Williams refers to God and refers to Western theology. He says Western theology is based on the idea of God as a senile delinquent. Woo! Woody Allen calls God an underachiever. And Joseph Heller writes that he finds it difficult to have reverence for a supreme being who included phlegm and tooth decay in the divine system of creation. So there is a lot of strange information about God floating around out there. And that may be nothing compared to some of the information that you may have learned as a God going to other churches, participating in other religious traditions in the churches of your childhood. You may have learned that God is a bit of a maniac, or I'm trying to say nice words, a cranky old biatch. And that probably wasn't a nice word. But anyway, you may have learned that God is a withholder, that God is judgmental, that God will smite you at any turn. You know, one of my favorite quotes is from South Park in a song where they say, God is going to kick your, and I'm going to ask you to help me, God is going to kick your, thank you, you infidelic pagan scum. It's so touching, isn't it? So touching. Anyway, but that captures some of the ideas that we have about God, that God is just get up there waiting to kick somebody, waiting to smite somebody, waiting to chuck a thunderbolt. I have a story about a friend of mine who's a minister who was doing a workshop for people that had a troubled relationship with God. And one of the people was a woman that had a lot of anger towards God. And he said, well, you know, this is a safe place. This is a safe place. So what I want you to do is to stand up in front of the class and express your rage against God. And she did. And she was using all kinds of bad language, and God is this and God is that, and I hate you, and God, you're just a you know what, and everything, God, God, God. And at that moment, when she was at her height of it, the space shuttle went through the atmosphere, and there was a sonic boom, and the whole room shook. You know? And what do? When you just said ass in church, you kind of look up, it's like, sorry, right? There's still something in us. I've told you before that I've played a nun in several operas, and you know, just today, something happened, what was it? I can't remember, something in the prayer circle. Somebody said something, and I crossed myself because I played a nun twice in an opera and got into the habit of crossing myself. So that is in my cells, and the old idea of God that we have, that we may still be clinging to, is in our cells. We carry it with us, and it's with us all the time, even though it's unconscious. And even though I am a Science of Mind minister who is paid to believe and say nice things about God, sometimes when I look into my unconscious, when I start seeing some of the things that I'm saying out loud and some of the things that I'm believing and some of the things that I'm doing, I see that I still hold a tiny bit of energy around the idea of a God that is judgmental, and a tiny bit of energy around a God who is withholding. You know, it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Well, maybe not everybody, right? That's part of my self-talk, right? Maybe not me is more accurate. And I still have quite a bit of energy, unfortunately, around Woody Allen's idea of God, that God is somewhat of an underachiever, particularly when I would like to control something and not trust God. That is my way of saying, God, you really can't handle this, so, you know, it's up to me. It's got to turn out the way I want it to, and I'm going to tell you all of the right steps and how to do it. Okay, God, we're going to, yeah. Doesn't work really well. And as I said, these energies are often in our unconscious mind, they're often subconscious, and we don't necessarily recognize them. But we start looking at our lives, and we start looking at our self-talk, and we start looking at what we're saying out loud, and recognize that these energies may be having an effect on the quality of our lives. The quality of our thought does affect the quality of our lives. And what happens is that these energies kind of cover us, and then experiences stick to us, experiences that we don't want. The other day I was out walking with several months ago actually, I was out walking with my dog Saraswati when she was a puppy, and we were on a trail up in Ojai, and it's one of those trails where there's a lot of tar by the side of the trail, and for a certain section, and I wasn't really paying attention, and she got in the tar, she got it all over her feet, she got it on her body, and then she ran into the woods and rolled. And she came out looking like Sasquatch. She had these big feet all just covered with leaves and bits of debris and twigs and, I don't know, we have acorns in California, all kinds of stuff just stuck to her. And I thought, what a good metaphor. She didn't roll in the tar on purpose. She didn't put it on her, and we don't roll in this bad idea of God, this insufficient idea of God on purpose, but it's on us, and then little bits and pieces of life stick to us, things that we don't really want, and we start blaming ourselves for having them and trying to fix everything, but really it all starts with simply just releasing that old idea of God and believing in that better God, believing in a God that is so much more like the God in that Rumi poem and the God that our beautiful Margaret Owens just sang about, a God that loves us no matter what. Because you know what? God is like the sun. And the sun is always shining. And you may turn away from it, and you may curse it, and you may say bad things about it, and you may not believe in it, but the sun doesn't care. The sun just keeps shining. The sun is there for us always, and God is like the sun in that way. Here's a thought about a different way to look at God. And this is from one of my favorite books, Tattoos on the Heart by Father Gregory Boyle, which I think a lot of us in the congregation have read. And Father Gregory Boyle is the founder of Homeboys Industries, which is a gang rehabilitation center down in Los Angeles. And it's a wonderful place, homegirl cafe too for the gang girls. Beautiful place to visit if you've never been there. And in this book, Tattoos on the Heart, Father Greg talks about one of his mentors, whose name was Bill. And Bill had an aging father. This father was getting older and not really verbal anymore and having a lot of physical incapacitation. So Bill was taking care of him and helping him through his final year or so. And so Bill would spend a long day doing intense physical care for his father. He needed help with absolutely everything. And after a very long day and after a very long bedtime routine, Bill would put his father to bed very lovingly and very kindly, and then he would read to him to help his father fall asleep. And so Bill would read, and then he'd look up, and his father would just be staring at him with great love. And he'd say, "Okay, Dad, seriously, it's time to go to sleep." So he'd read some more, and his father had, dutifully shut his eyes. He'd read some more, and then he'd look up, and the father had one eye open, still looking at his son with love. And he'd say, "Dad, it's been a long day. It's time to go to sleep. Shut your eyes." The father would shut his eyes. Bill would read some more, and then, boop, the other eye would pop open, and the father would be looking at Bill once again. And Father Greg likens this to the way that God is. He says that God is far too busy looking upon her wonderful and wondrous creation and adoring her wonderful creation than to ever spend any time judging us or condemning us or throwing thunderbolts or withholding from us or any of the vast unhealthy notions that we have about God. Do you get that? God is too busy loving us to do anything other than love us completely. So what is it like to be loved completely? And how do we realize that? I feel like I've just given you a brand new car, a Maserati, a Mercedes, a Volkswagen, whatever it is you love, but you got to take the car out of the garage. It's one thing to know it intellectually. It's another thing to get in the car and actually experience it, isn't it? And so I think that there is a very clear way to experience this love of God, this God that adores us no matter what, this God that shines on us like the sun. It has to do with the fact that we see what we see with. I'm sorry I ended a phrase with a preposition. I couldn't help it. We see what we see with. So we are looking with our eyes, we are looking with our perspective, and that is what we see out there. We are constantly projecting limitation and old ideas and past learnings onto the vastness that is God. We see what we see with. So rather than doing elaborate work to change God or to change the effects of our lives, we simply change our perception. And one way to do that is to look upon everything with great love. In Franciscan theology, they talk about first gaze and second gaze. First gaze is the state where we are in much of the time, where we look at something and we just either take it for granted, we don't even see it sometimes, or we ask, how is this about me? How can this serve me? How can I use this? How does this affect my life? Second gaze is the contemplative gaze, which is taking a long look with love. Looking at something and seeing past its utility for us, and seeing that it exists in its own way for its own sake, and recognizing that the gift of it is absolutely something for us, but the gift comes through our willingness to step back and look at it with love. If you think about your life, if you spend any time thinking about everything that you've already done this morning, this morning I cooked an egg. I ate an egg for breakfast, and it was so exciting because the egg is just a miracle of technology. It's an incredible design that it's this fragile shell that has to be strong enough to squirt out of a chicken's, hoo-ha. And yeah, I'm really glad I pointed at it too. That was helpful for all of us. But it has to be strong enough for that, and strong enough to survive, but it also has to be weak enough for when the chick is fully grown and ready to expand, and in that cramped little stinky space ready to peck its way out. It's got to be weak enough for that, fragile enough for that. And by the way, what a metaphor that is for humanity, that if we're feeling cramped and if we're feeling stinky and if it feels like life isn't very good, that's a beautiful sign that evolution is about to happen. We're about to crack out of that shell without knowing what's on the other side. Is that wonderful or what? So there is a whole sermon in an egg, right? There's a whole sermon in an egg. Another thing that I saw this morning on my desk was an envelope. It's almost time to pay the mortgage, so I looked at this envelope on my desk, and I thought about that envelope and thought, okay, I'm going to look at this with second gaze, and thought about the trees that made that envelope, that were boiled down, however they make paper, and flattened into paper, and somebody figured out just the right way to fold it. And if you put an address on it and a stamp for, 49 cents now? It can go anywhere in the United States. It can go anywhere. And if you put a little more on it, it can go around the world. So there's a miracle there, too, a miracle that is just given to us by extreme grace. And then, once we start looking at the things in our lives, we start looking at the consciousness in our lives. One of the little girls who was up here on stage today said she liked my necklace. And it's very sweet that she liked my necklace because one of my little friends on the stage gave me this necklace last Sunday. And it was so sweet because her mom said that she took her own money and she just wanted to give it to me. She just took her own money from her allowance and bought it for me. But the sweetest part about that, the most amazing part about that for me, is the wrapping paper that she put it in. It was in a plain brown paper bag, but she had written out Bonnie Rose vertically. And for each letter of my name, she had a lovely word like beautiful, outstanding, nice, and it's not so much about all these nice words, but it's that her mom said that she Googled nice words for those letters. And it's just, what kind of a consciousness is that goes to that effort? So I haven't done this yet, but I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start looking at people and say, K-I-M, kindness, integrity, mama, hot mama. Yeah. So just, perhaps silently at first, start doing that. Start doing that with the people in your lives. Start loving up the people in your lives that way, and that will bring you into that second gaze place, that place where you are truly seeing the face of God in everyone and in everything, because it's there. It is so there. And all we need to do is to receive it. And in order to receive it, we need to believe it. And that's really just all there is to it. Isn't it ridiculously simple? It is ridiculously simple. Walt Whitman said the truth is simple. If it was harder, more people would understand it, right? All right. So in closing, I'm going to give you one more God quote, and this is from Voltaire. And this is, God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh. Now, I'm going to debate with Mr. Voltaire on that because I absolutely believe, first of all, that God is a comedian. God is freaking hilarious. Who else would come up with phlegm and tooth decay as part of the master plan of creation? God is so funny. But we're not an audience that's too afraid to laugh, are we? We are filled with laughter, filled with joy, filled with bliss. And in the spirit of that joy and that bliss and that laughter and that love, I want you to do one more thing. This is your assignment. You know that poem that Hugh did about the mirror, where God said to the receiver of the poem, I can't give you anything because it's like bringing water to the ocean or bringing spices to the Orient or bringing gold to the gold mine. But the best gift I have for you is a mirror. And so God has given us the mirror of our existence, the mirror of our life. And again, we see what we are looking with. So we allow our seeing to change the view that's in the mirror. And you know that I hardly ever ask people to take anything literally. But in that poem, Rumi asks us to look in the mirror and see God's reflection. And what I'd like you to do, sometime before the end of the day, is to look in the mirror and notice your tendency to go to first gaze, which is like, do I have any pimples? Do I have any wrinkles? And then go to second gaze, which is to take a long, loving look at that face that has looked back at you for so long and been taken for granted for so long and been criticized for so long. Look in the mirror and love yourself, and you will believe in that better God. Let's turn within now and let us pray. So I turn within and trust and know that these words have fallen on open hearts and that these words have made a difference. Right here and right now, collectively, then, we hold each other in the power of this prayer and the power of these words and the power of this spiritual community that is built with such loving kindness and such truth and such goodness. We immerse ourselves in the energy of love, knowing that there is one life. That life is love's life, and that love is my love right now. Right here and right now, I unify with that love. I know that this entire creation was made in love, and I absolutely trust that that entire creation has made me from it, and that I am the essence of love. And if it's true for me, it's true for all of us. And though I will speak in the first person, this prayer includes everyone, because truly there is only one of us here. One energy of love that blesses and sustains the entire universe. And so in that energy of vast love, in that energy of grace, in that energy of perfect goodness, I trust and I know that lives are uplifted and healed and hearts are open today. That one by one we will go our separate ways and we will look in the mirror and see the face of God. And one by one we will go our separate ways and we will look at the things around us and the people around us and see the face of God in that too. We will cast off anything that is sticking to us from the past, anything that feels like it's the wrong play, anything that feels like it is inhibiting our ability to step into the theater of grace, into the theater of bliss, into the theater of perfect happiness, into the theater of divine goodness and infinite possibilities. Can we together accept those infinite possibilities right here and right now? Can we open our hearts to receive that? And if there is any doubt whatsoever, just breathe it out. Let it go. Leave it here at the church. The church can hold it. As we know this truth for ourselves, we know it for the person sitting beside us and the person sitting behind us and the person sitting in front of us. We know it for our entire world, that the world is a world of possibilities. We know it for people who are suffering. We know it for people who are struggling. We know it for that which is beyond the known world into the universe of eternal and vast love. And we just resonate and rest in this perfection, in this place of love, in this place of goodness, in this beingness of spirit that is so divine and so powerful. Let us carry this with us as we go through our lives. Let us be that radiant beacon of life and love. Let us be that God that we wish to see in the world. Let us see the God that we wish to be in the world. And let us trust that it is all unfolding perfectly, because it is. I give thanks. I give thanks for this spiritual truth. I give thanks for this beautiful demonstration of truth that I know is happening right now in the lives of every single person sitting here today, and in the lives of the people that we hold in our heart. I bless this teaching and this beautiful center. I bless all paths to God, churches, temples, mosques, ashrams. I bless atheists and fundamentalists, because God made everybody. And everybody plays a role in this beautiful, beautiful, mystical creation. And so with that spirit of gratitude and that spirit of blessedness, I just say, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. Thank you for this demonstration. Thank you for this truth. And I release these words into the mystery. And together we say, and so it is. Now please repeat after me. I am held in Spirit's holiness, divinely guided by wisdom, courage, and love. I am always connected. I see God in everything. I create joy on earth as I share my blessings. Thank you for my life. And so it is.